Isa sa electrical.
Ay, oo nga pala. Wait lang. Wait for a while.
No? Ang SS ni mo.
Ano naman? Ay, charot. Wait lang, iyan ko pa.
Why are Faraday laws important? Faraday is magnetic field tend to flow or
Asa ka?
flows di siya?
Where ka?
Sa Denmark.
Kanyo katong kwan mapik why are Faraday laws flow?
Hmm? Oh, loose. Why
Flow.
fire slow yan?
Current to flow in wires. Mura kasi R.
Flow.
Why is
Current to flow in wires.
sige sige matik.
Ako.
Okay na.
Buhay na ako. Sana ako. Te?
Yes.
Okay na, te?
Wait lang
Mag-start
ha.
na ta?
Kajut lang.
Am I ready?
Na
Okay na.
Na-echo man din, Mark?
gingi ko man.
Sa laptop ko yan. Ano nga yung first question? What is Faraday? Wait lang, guys. Doon na yan?
Ating
Medyo mahina yung net sa school. Te.
walang PowerPoint makikita. Walang PowerPoint makita.
Mag-start na. Wait lang, ha?
Mahina yung net dito.
Connect ko muna yung ano. Gani. Para na saksak sa ba? Dari lang ko mag-demo sa ta. Ano yung signal, te?
Oo, medyo late lang. Pero sige na. Nag-start
Klaro
na
na, te?
yan. Oo.
Mag-start na ko.
Wala kang
Ay, wait
PowerPoint.
lang, si Elsa. Bye. Oo, mag-kuhan ko ron. Ikaw na lang answer, te. Wala pa si Elsa.
Hmm.
Katong gabi,
Hmm.
sige na, ikaw na ha.
Yan na.
Te.
Gamay lang.
Okay. Lagi. Kabalo naman ka to. So, ready?
Asan ang
Ito muna.
presentation mo?
Good luck.
Okay. Start
Good
recording
luck.
na. Okay, mag-start na ako. So, recorded na?
Kanina pa yan recorded. Yung presentation mo wala pa.
Okay, ikaw na Elsa. Elsa, yung ano mo ah. So, good morning everyone. Before I discuss to the next topic, can anyone tell me what was our discussion yesterday?
Permission to speak, ma'am.
Yes, Sadama?
Okay. It is all about the tools and materials that is being used in installing wires.
Okay, very good. Can you give me an example of tools and materials that are being used in installing wires? Anyone? Miss Delma, I earn a late.
Alright, so they usually we use tools materials are usually being used is that combination pliers, long nose, and most of all they also have electrical tape. That would be all.
Oh, very good. I'm glad that you really listened to this discussion. Now let's move on to our next topic. So, wait for a while. Our next topic is all about explaining Faraday's law through magnetic induction. This means that you are expected to state Faraday's law of magnetic induction and discuss and the Faraday's law in electromagnetic and lastly cite the importance of electromagnetic induction of the field in electrical technology. So, listen carefully before I will be asking because I will be asking you some questions after my discussion. So first, introduction. Can anyone read? Mr. Robio?
Yes,
Everyone,
ma'am.
am I audible?
So, introduction. In 1831, medyo choppy po, ma'am. So, okay. So,
Sige, ako na lang.
in
So,
1831,
in
Michael Faraday.
1831, Michael Faraday carried out numerous experiments to prove that electricity could be generated from magnetism. He not only demonstrated electric induction, but okay, go John Mark. Okay, John Mark, you may go. Yes, John Mark, go. The great experimentalists not only had clearly demonstrated this phenomenon, now known as electromagnetic induction, but also had developed a good conception of the physical involved. The experiments performed by Faraday in that important year featured a permanent magnet and a galvanometer connected to a coil of wire wound around the paper cylinder. So next, can anyone read the first? What is Faraday's law? Adama? Sige, ako na lang kasi parang wala sila signal. The Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, referred as a Faraday's law, is a basic law of electromagnetism predicting how a magnet field will interact with an electric circuit to produce an electromotive force. So, um, such a EMF. So, this phenomenon is known as electromagnetic induction. So, Faraday's law states that a current will be induced in a conductor, which is exposed to changing magnetic field. So second, Lenz's law is Lenz's law of electromagnetic induction states that the direction of this induced current will be such that the magnetic field created by the induced current opposes the initial changing magnetic field which produced it. So the direction of this current flow can be defined by the following rule. So Lenz's law, named after the this email said in 1934 says that the direction of the electric current induced in the conductor by a changing magnetic field is such that the magnetic field created by the induced current opposes the initial magnetic field. So last Faraday's law of induction explains the working principles of transformers, motors, generators, and conductors. So, yun nga. Next, Faraday's experiment. As you can note that It shows Michael Faraday's experiment of electromagnetic
and a galvanometer across the coil. At starting, the magnet is at rest, so there is no deflection in the galvanometer. So the needle of the galvanometer is at the center or zero position. When the magnet is moved towards the coil, the needle of the galvanometer deflects on one direction.
Screen recording.
So when the magnet is position,
that point respect to the coil. The needle of the galvanometer returns to the zero position. Similarly, if the magnet is held stationary and the coil moves away and and towards the magnet, the galvanometer similarly shows deflection. It is also seen that the faster the change in the magnetic field, the greater will be induced EMF or voltage in the coil. So if you are confused, what is EMF means? It is electromagnetic force or EMF. It is measurement of the energy that causes current to flow through a circuit within one direction. Third, when the magnet is held stationary at same position near the coil, there will be no deflection in. So next is conclusion. From this experiment, Faraday concluded that or the magnet field changes with time, the electromotive force is produced.
additionally, Michael Faraday also formulated two laws in the basis of the above experiments. These are called Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So let's proceed to John Ambrose flaming. So as you can see, we have here an example of a picture of John Ambrose Fleming. So he is an English electrical engineer, and I find
Ayun ako na-stop, guys. Te, asa ako na-stop, te? Dili, te?
Isa. So next.
Hello?
Next pa.
Second topic. Dito?
Parang dyan ata.
Dito lang ako mag-proceed.
Pwede back ka konti para ma-cut na lang natin.
Dito sa John Ambrose. Dito? Okay, yan. O, dyan na. So now let's proceed to the John Ambrose Fleming. John Ambrose Fleming, as you can see here, we have a picture, an example of a picture of John Ambrose Fleming. He is an English electrical engineer and physicist who invented the first thermionic valve or vacuum tube, designed the radio transmitter with which the first transatlantic radio transmission was made, and also established the right-hand rule used in physics. Now we have here John Ambrose Fleming's gave two rules of physics. First, the first rule is that the electron is always a positive charge. to determine the direction of motion or the direction of induced current. So this rule states hold out the right hand with the first finger, second second finger and thumb so at the right angle to each other. In forefinger represent the direction of the line of force. The thumb points in the direction of motion or applied force. Then the second finger points in the direction of induced current. As you can see in the in the thumb, which is letter F, it represents motion or force. Do remember those. So the sa finger naman ng hintuturo, it represents as a field or lines of flux, which is letter B, color green. And the middle finger represents current or direction. Magnet is moved either towards or away. I mean, first, first pala, um, by moving a magnet towards away or from the coil. So whenever a magnet is moved either towards or away from a conducting coil, and an EMF is induced. So the magnitude of which is independent of independent of. So therefore, the induced EMF depends on the resistance of the coil. So next, by moving the coil into or out of the magnetic field. Third, by changing the area of a coil placed in the magnetic field. So and lastly,
That the magnitude of EMF induced in the coil is equal in the rate of change of flux that linkages with the coil. So the flux linkages of the coil is the product of the number of turns in the coil and the flux associated with the coil. Next, how to increase EMF in a coil. So first, by increasing the number of turns in the coil, IAN, from the formula derived above, it is easily seen that if the number of turns in a coil increased, the induced EMF also gets increased. So here, um, increasing the number of turns of wire in the coil. So by increasing the amount of individual conductors cutting through the magnetic field, the amount of induced EMF produced will be the sum of all the individual loops of the coil. So if there are 20 turns in the coil, there will be 20 times more induced EMF than in one piece of wire. So second, by increasing flux increases, EMF range in the suit will also get increased. So theoretically, if the coil is passed through a stronger magnetic field, there will be more lines of force for the coil to cut, and hence there will be more EMF induced. Wait. So increasing the strength of the magnetic field. If the same coil of wire is moved at the same speed through a stronger magnetic field, there will be more EMF produced because there are more lines of force to cut. And last, by increasing the speed of the relative motion between the coil and magnetic. So if the relative speed between the coil and magnet is increased from its previous value, the coil will cut the lines of flux at a faster rate. So more induced EMF would be produced. So increasing the speed of the relative motion between the coil and the magnet. So same coil paths to the same magnetic its their velocity is increased, the wire will cut the lines of flux at a faster rate. So more induced EMF would be produced. Applications of Faraday's law. So Faraday's law doesn't just apply to physical objects or elements, and we can see examples of it in an actual all around us in everyday life. So generators, motors, transformer, electric instruments, and induction cookers all employ Faraday's law, so allowing us to drive to work, power homes, or cook food, and of course, rock out. So first we have power transformers. Um, Power transformers function based on Faraday's law. The basic working principle of electrical generators is Faraday's law of mutual induction. Third, the induction cooker is the fastest way of cooking. It also works on the principle of mutual induction. Next, electromagnetic flow meter is used to measure the velocity of certain fluids. Next, from a form basis of electromagnetic theory, Faraday's idea of line of force is used in well-known Maxwell's equation. And lastly, um, it is also used in musical instruments like an electric guitar, electric violin, and more. So next, also we have here a summary summary of our today's discussion. So first, summary whenever there is a change in the magnetic flux linked with a coil, an electromotive force or EMF is induced. Second, according to Faraday, when there is no relative motion between the magnet, the coil, the magnet flux within the coil remains constant. So, a galvanometer shows no deflection. Third, third summary, um, the magnitude of the induced EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of the magnetic flux linked with the coil. And lastly, according to Fleming's right hand rule, if the thumb, the forefinger, and the middle finger or right hand are stretched perpendicular to each other, then the thumb represents the direction of movement of the conductor. The forefinger represents the direction of magnetic field, and the middle finger represents the direction of magnetic field, and the middle finger represents the directions in the induced current. So now, the most awaited scene. We have here 5 questions. Are you guys ready? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So first question, wait lang. What is Faraday's law? Can anyone guess? Who still remember?
What is that again, ma'am?
Adama, have you remembered?
What is Faraday's law? Anyone? Do you have any idea? So I think kalimutan nila. So
Permission to
ako
speak,
na lang
ma'am.
muna ang mag-answer sa first question and kayo na naman yung second question. So Faraday, okay, you are, you may now.
Yes, Adama.
Faraday's law describes how changing magnetic fields and can cause current to flow in wires.
Yes, very good. So Faraday's law states that current will be induced in the conductor which is
Exposed to a changing magnetic field. So, second question. What does Lenz's law states? Mr. Rubio, are you around? Miss Ferrer,
Adam, I do have an idea.
Okay. So, Lenz's law, it is the electromagnetism statement that an induced electric current flows in a direction such that the current opposed to the change that induces it.
okay, very good. You have a good answer. So, third questions. Who invented Faraday's law? Miss Akuno, do you have idea? Miss Akuno, are you around? Adama na lang.
Yes, Adama. Do you have idea?
Hello, am I audible?
Okay, ako na lang. So the one is Michael Faraday. So next question number 4 na magsagot. State that the induced
Excuse me, ma'am. Chubby ka po.
in a circuit is proportional to the rate of change over time Last question, Miss Adama.
Okay,
Hello?
what is
Te.
the difference between Faraday's law and Lenz's law? So Faraday's law tells us the magnitude of EMP produced. However, the Lenz law tells us the direction that currently will flow.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Okay, thank you so much for that wonderful answer, Miss Adama. So we have here a comparison and a perception. We have two of it. So first, according to Faraday's produced. So lens law tells us the direction identified Okay, assignment na lang yan ninyo. So let's proceed.
Okay, ma'am.
Ito din, assignment as for,
Noted, ma'am.
for tomorrow's assignment. This one and this one. Thank you, Days. For today, you've really, you've really listened. So let's call it a day. It's already time. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yan na yatay.
Bye! Klaro lang. Dai.
Dalmo! Tawag ka, Dalmo! Na mo klase?
Tay, humana, te.
Humana? Humana?
Uy, choppy lang
Hello.
ikayo ka, day. Grabe.
Tapos na, Eb.
Am I crazy on my
Okay
decision?
na ba?
Eh, Bami, choppy ka man talaga kanina.
Tapos ka na, Eb. Tapos na ba?
Eh,
Okay na,
Bami.
Day?
Hi, Ate Nor.
Uy, eh, Bami.
Ha?
Late man yung ano mo.
Galing na pa ko Shopee.
Oo.
Shopee,
Malate
ay,
ka mo.
ron.
Ano ba, oh? Okay lang man siya, pero late ka pa
Hina ang signal.
ano. Late mo ako na ano.
Opo. Kung may
Pero ako,
evaporate na.
naririnig mo ako.
Ako na. Late ang ano ko, boy?
Late mo ako naririnig mo.
Respond. Oo, mahina ang signal.
Naririnig mo lang
Opo.
ako?
Hindi mo feel?
Okay. Late ka kasi mag-respond. Late ka mag-ano.
Late din. Yung signal ko ata yung problem.
Stop na ako na yung recording.
Oo. Ako,
O, stop na natin kay yaw-yaw naman diri.
Sige.
signal. Ate!
Sige na.
Uy, dai, nangutan
Oo,
na.
lisod pod.
Dai, nangutan na si Rona kung wala ba daw.
Thank you for your time,
Ha?
everyone.